Hey everybody, it's Steve with Sky194, and I appreciate you taking the time to visit and check out my video. And we are here at IMOLA in the Ferrari EVO GT3 car, and had a request for a setup for it, so I worked on a setup, and I think I could have drove a little better, but just probably getting tired. I've been working on a lot of setups lately, but the car still performed really well, and it's definitely got the pace. So let's go over a few laps, and then I'll show you the setup, and I will, of course, put the link to the setup in the description. So let's get started. And one of my new liveries, I like messing with that sometimes. It's just fun to mess around with it. Get here behind the car. Of course, coming up here, I always hit stop before the 100, before this curbing, and before the 100. The first lap, you need to almost be back here where the sidewalk is, like the first lap, because tires are cold and stuff like that. But after that, the normal braking marker is right here, like I said, right up in here. And it's so critical to get these next corners correct. Now I come in here. Sometimes I go over the sausages a little more than others. It might upset the car a teeny bit, but it's not, it's not a big deal. But you definitely, the smoother you can be through here, the faster. I mean, it's wide open. I go right up to the 50, and go right through here. Try to cut this like a late apex so I can be all the way to the left and downshift down into second. Come back across. And then here I'm basically braking right before this sand starts, this where it starts here. I'm braking right before that, and basically just this, turn is it's easy turn, but you can gain time or lose time through here. So again, I go down to first and just try to go through here as quick as I can and let it drift out to where I open the car up. But you got to watch it, because a corner will bite you if you'll run off and go off in the grass a little bit, which I did a couple times. And I go past the 50. There's a brown spot right here. It's hard to see with this light. Right there. See the brown spot? Right there past the 50. That's where I brake. This big, huge brown spot in the grass. And go down to second gear. What I'm trying to do, because I'm trying to get a late apex so I can get barely touch these sausages or come across on the back side of them, is what I'm trying to accomplish. Just like that. I just touched the one, but it's not a big deal. And then here, run right on that curb, drive it all the way in, and I try to brake straight. So I'm trying to at least somewhat straight, so that way you're not in a total real turn, hard turn, and then on the brakes, because then the back end just wants to come out. So I mean, I drive hard and then hit the brakes really hard while I'm going straight, and then turn. So you get off the brake, back on the brake, downshift it first, and then go ahead and go up. And of course, this definitely, I need more practice here. I mean, because this corner is definitely the corner where you can make it or break it. I usually stop right around the 50. I mean, somewhere around here, either before or a little after. But, it's just a kind of a minefield as far as what angle you take at it and go over it. So, I'm sure there's a lot better people that take it than I do. I try to get it turned a little bit so I'm not aiming at those things, those sausages. because those are out of bounds. And then here, it's just between the two. What is that, the 150? No, the 100. Between the 100 and the 150, I guess you could say this little cover right here, but basically just in between the two, I'm on the brakes, downshift to second, and try to cut this corner some a little bit, and just touch the brakes, and then I try not to hit these things, and run it out wide. And that was my fast lap, 1:42.88. So let's, that was this one right here, 1:42.88, which was, I was really happy with that. Let's go over and show the next one. I'll go back up. Put the HUD on. I started with 80 liters. And that's what it would take to do a 45 minutes race. It'd be about 80 to 82 liters on map 1. You could do a 45-minute race. So map 3, I'm sure you could do less. I didn't try map 3. It might be better as far, I don't know, as far as performance. I know it'd be better in mileage. I doubt it would be in performance, but you never know. This thing is an angry sucker when it comes to map 1. It can be a handful. It'll definitely wear you out. Especially around here, getting all these big bumps. I don't know how some of these guys say they ain't got no force feedback on ACC. It's so bad. It's so bad. Why are my arms so sore? That doesn't make any sense. I don't even have it near turned up. And this thing, I mean, my arms kill me every time I get done doing all this. My arms are like I've been working out. That was a 1:43.17. So let's go over to last lap. Last lap of the 30 minutes. If you haven't seen my model video, I got a model of the GT3 EVO BBR, which is made in Italy. Really nice model. Wish I could get a lot more of them, but they're just kind of expensive. But I got a video on that for my higher end models that I also put on the channel. If anybody hasn't seen it, gorgeous car. I mean the GT, the Ferrari, the GT3 in general. I mean, it's just a gorgeous car. I really like it just because the wing, you could put a lot of wing in it and it doesn't really slow the car down that much because the wing is so efficient and it's not huge and it's efficient because that diffuser, that big old massive diffuser down there, which is probably the best looking diffuser in all of GT3 cars. I mean, that thing, I love, that thing looks so killer and it's probably so efficient that they don't need a big wing. And that way, unlike the Porsche, where it has to have a big wing because it doesn't have a big diffuser, it could be efficient as far as you could put a lot of wing to it, and it doesn't really slow the car down that much. And that's really nice. I like that. I just, I mean, I like that. So when you want, you get the stability, but you don't have all that drag. So I really like the Ferrari's really, really good car. That's why it's so popular. Once you really get used to it and really start, know it in and out, it's really a good car. Super fast. That was the end of the 30 minutes. And that was a 143.61. So, I mean, that's not, I mean, that's, that's like 8/10 from my fast lap. So that's, from my fastest to the last lap of the 30 minutes. So I'm happy with that. So let's go ahead and go over the timetables. Now I had a few flubber laps. Like I said, I guess I'm just getting tired. So, but if you look, there was a lot of, I had a couple of the 42s, but it could have been a ton more because, I mean, I have 43.00, 43.1. I mean, and this one lap here, if you see this one lap, I thought I was going to get another best lap, but I flubbed the last sector because I had the two top sectors, and then I flubbed the last one. Otherwise, it would have been faster than that. So that would have been, like a 42.85 or 82 or something like that if I would have had a really good last sector. So again, I mean, a lot of these could have been 42s. It's just, driver. And I still had a 42.93 down here. So again, I think it's a really good setup. I had a couple flubbers, which I just totally messed up. Didn't wreck, but kind of a minor, not a wreck, but maybe a little bit off excursion. But then all the other ones are still low 43s. There's another mess up lap, but 43.4, 43.6. But I mean, still, again, I'm really happy with it. Just needs practice. More practice. But the car handles really well, and on the aggressive setup with the same amount of fuel, so everything's equal. Same brake pads, same amount of fuel, 80 liters, tires at the correct pressures. I mean, it's a good, decent setup. I just didn't like the way it felt. The back end slides around too much. I didn't like it at all. I even back off the back brake to help it out a little bit because the back brake was just making it worse. Back brake was making it slide around the rear a lot. But actually did better when I backed the bias off. But I ran a 43.5 something was the fastest lap I had. So, I'm down to 42.8. So, I mean, I gained about 7/10. So, I mean, to me, that's a pretty good gain because it was, really is not a bad setup for the aggressive. It's just I didn't like the way the car felt. So, let's go over the setup. I got 26.5 for the left front, 26.1 for the right front, 26.1 for the left rear, and 25.7 for the right rear. The toe is negative 0.02 with the camber at negative 3.6 and the caster at 14.6. Now, on the aggressive, the camber was negative 4. It had way too much temperature, had way too much spread on it from inner to outer to me. And the way I like it, it was way out. It was like 8 or 9 degrees. It's too much, just too much. And actually, I cut the caster down. The caster was way up. It was like 16 or something like that, over 16 on the aggressive. So I actually knocked it down. So it had too much caster. It was just making the steering too heavy. And, you got a lot of changing, back and forth, all these chicanes and things like that, and fast corners. So, I don't really need, you don't have a lot of sweepers here. So, I kind of like it to react a little quicker. So, basically, that's what I did. Turn that down, and then turn this down to negative 3.6. And then when I was checking the temperatures, the inner to the outer here on the front tires, they were still right around 6 and 7 degrees, and that's right where I want them. So I like that, and there's more tire on the road, and I always like that too. So the toe on the rear is 0.07 with the camber at negative 3. And again, that was the same thing. It was about negative I think it was negative 3.2, which really wasn't too bad on the back. But again, it was like 7 or 8 degrees spread on the rear, which is a little bit too much for me that I like on the back. Electronics are 3, 5, and 3 with the Corsa map on the number 1. Fuel had 80 liters. And you can see I did a few stints. Here is the tires from the 30 minutes. And as you can see, there is no graining, no blistering, no nothing. So these are the other ones that I did some messing around with but didn't like it right away and I knew it. But this is the one I did the 30 minutes with. And you can see the wear. And it's got a little bit more on the rear than the front, but it's not, it's not, extreme. It's okay. And the main thing is the tires look perfect as far as the wear. So I can't ask for anything better than that. Mechanical, got 28 on the anti-roll bar, 57 on the brake bias, and I would not go any lower than that. If anything, I would go higher because you just don't need it. The steering ratio I have at 15, kind of to slow the car down a little bit. And the springs on the front are 138,600, and the bump stop rate is 700, and the bump stop range is 12. So again, I really tried to, the springs are actually what came on the Aggressive. That's about the only thing that's not been changed. The springs on all 4 corners seemed to work pretty well, so I just left them the way they were with this big bumps. The bump stop rate is 700 on the front with the bump stop range of 12, and I actually knocked that down a little bit to try to get over these sausages without upsetting the car. On the rear, the springs are 134,000 with a bump stop rate of 600 and a bump stop range of 35, and that also has been changed. The anti-roll bar is 5, and the preload on the diff is 80, and again, that was massively changed. That had 15 on the anti-roll bar, and it had like 180 or 100 and something on the preload on the diff, and it was just basically just making the rear end just everywhere it went. It wasn't turning; it was just sliding. I can't stand it. I hate that. So. It still did a teeny bit, but I mean, this is pretty good. So in the 30 minutes, it wasn't spinning the tire, maybe a teeny bit here or there, but nothing real bad. So I thought this was a good compromise. The shocks, all the way around are 5, 4, 8, and 7. That's all 4 corners. Aero, I have 61 front, 61 rear with an 11 rear wing, and a 3 and a 2 and a brake ducts. And the front aero variation is a negative 1.4. And again, trying to get the ground clearance, and I think I just added a 1 or 2. I don't remember what the wing was, but I know it was close. It's either 1 or 2 more on the wing that I added. But speed-wise down the front straightaway, it's still plenty good. So I don't see an issue with that. So again, I'm really happy with this setup, and I think just with more practice, it'd definitely be a lot faster. And of course, all my setups are done with mid-20s and low to 0 wind or low wind, and with an optimum track. So again, I mean, all the setups that I have on my channel are set up that way to try to make them as even as possible as far as comparing them or comparing. So when you go out and your tire temps and things like that, if you know that it's mid-20s, the tire pressure should be right there. Within a few degrees, it should be right there. So again, but if it's 30-something degrees, then you might have to adjust the brake ducts or the tire pressures or things like that. So it just depends on what your situation is and what the weather is. But I sure appreciate it. I sure hope you give me a thumbs up, and I sure hope you subscribe. If you haven't subscribed to my little channel, I really would appreciate the support. And any comment on anything, comment or feedback on the setup or anything else. I always love talking to all my friends, and sometimes it gets to be, sometimes I can answer, I try to answer right away. Other times I got to kind of catch up. Just depends on, I get really, really, busy with life sometimes, but I always try to get back with everybody, and I do appreciate it, and everybody's understanding. And I also want to say thank you to all my subscribers out there. I really, really appreciate your support, and I can never say thank you enough. So I just I hope you all have a good time with the content. And again, I hope you come back and visit again real soon. Y'all take care. See ya.